Last week was tough, guys, I know. It hurt me too. But Hawkeye Nation, the Washed Up Walkons are here to give you guys back the juice. We recorded this on Halloween, and I personally think that Purdue should be a little scared because the Hawks are coming. Let's have a day, guys. Let's go. Welcome in to the Washed Up Walk-Ons podcast. You guys are back for week 5. We are, again, incredibly impressed with how this is going. We're very surprised at you guys being here, and we're happy to be able to create this stuff for you guys. With that being said, let's get right into it. We're going to address the Penn State game right off the bat. And
I voted that we didn't even go over it because this is going to hurt, but whatever.
Yeah, Drake didn't want to even do it. We're not going to make it a long thing. Hawkeyes lost. They did cover, though. So Washed Up Walkons are 4-0. Kevin wanted to make sure that we mentioned that.
I just hope you got the line at 6.5 or 7, and if you got it at 5.5, I feel sorry for you.
Yeah, that's a tough one. However, when we were betting on it, it was 6.5, I believe. So we covered. Washed Up Walk-Ons 4-0. Just continue to put your money with us.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been listening to us for the last 4 weeks, you should probably have your house paid off and maybe even a nice new sports car. So, you know.
And your kids' colleges are paid.
And if that is actually the case, I would definitely like for you guys to send checks payable to Drake Kulik at 607 Westgate in Iowa City, because if you have made enough money to pay off your house and buy a new sports car, then you owe me a little bit for telling you guys to do so.
Drake, you told him to bet the money line, so
No, I said I was betting the money line. I told him I was betting the money line, not that they should bet the money line. I said that I would put my entire life that they cover. So they covered.
And by the skin of their teeth, as they say.
No,
but yeah, they lost.
Penn State got out of there by the skin of their teeth. We had the ball first and goal on the 4-yard line.
This is true. And this brings up a few topics inside of the overarching Penn State topic that many people wanted us to talk about this week. We're going to save Nate Stanley for the end of this whole topic. We're going to talk about a couple other things. I know a lot of you guys want to bench Nate Stanley, throw him in the fire, and just let him burn forever. But it's not the case. So
and for all of you that think that way, you have my address now. We could have a little conversation in private.
Yeah. So first I want to talk about the special teams trickery. Coach Woods at it again. I'm not sure what this one was called. I had no inside information on this one. Basically, Coach Woods, like I've said before, I think he's literally rising to be he's among the top special teams coordinators in the country for college football. And I love it. It's incredible to see them taking chances, especially in the situations that they're doing it in. Sam Brinks, the catch.
Catch of the year.
I mean, just insanity.
Yeah, just another walk-on, just doing his job and making plays.
I mean, we'll have him on the podcast for sure.
He's a prime candidate for the podcast next year.
Yeah, he's a guest. He's on the guest list for sure, especially after making a catch like that, just completely looking it in over his shoulder. Couldn't have been more textbook. Unbelievable.
And he looked like he did it every day. Like he caught that ball so nonchalant, like Willie Mays in center field. And
I will say
unbelievable.
Finally threw a good pass. Good for that guy, because he hasn't done it up to this point. Yeah. People wanted to, again, my Twitter went crazy. Polecat is dead. Don't refer to me as Polecat. Sam Brinks is the new special teams fake god of Iowa football, and refer all your questions to him because he made me look like a third grader. Thank you, Sam Brinks. Anyway,
bro, he plays defensive tackle, bro.
yeah.
How did he score? That's like the
I don't
Patriots
know.
throwing that to Vince Wilfork back in the day.
Yeah,
I mean, just
I don't. Yeah.
Coach Woods is a genius.
Is that the I was watching the play. Was that the same play we ran at Michigan State last year?
Yes,
No,
I believe it was. It was close. It was very close. Sam was uncovered, so it made him eligible. They even called it out. They pointed to him and said, eligible receiver. And
yeah, like the thing was, like, there was a guy on him, and he makes
held,
an unbelievable catch.
Yeah, he held in long enough to get behind the guy and make them bite, and it was beautifully executed. Yeah, I loved it. There's nothing else to say about
Sam.
it.
Well done.
Yeah, incredible stuff. I honestly don't want to talk about much about the rest of the game other than the whole Nate Stanley thing. And I know that we all have our ideas on the Nate Stanley thing. Kevin wants to say something about it. Drake would like to say something about it. I'm interested in what you guys have to say about it, and I'll give my 2 cents after you guys go off. But Kevin, I'm gonna let you take this one.
Yeah, appreciate it, buddy. Nate Stanley did not have his best game.
Don't call me buddy.
I think we all know that. But for all of you Twitter warriors out there, please take your Twitter thumbs and shove them as far up your asshole as humanly possible. Okay? People calling for Nate Stanley to get benched are completely insane. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. That is without a doubt. He is, without a doubt. He is a prime leader of this team. Like, he is the best teammate you could possibly ask for, and people are asking for him to get benched, put in the backup because he's not getting the job done. In that environment, like, it was a ridiculously bad day to be throwing the football. The other team had a quarterback who is a Heisman candidate. He's also the candidate for the biggest douchebag in America. He threw for, I think 42% of his passes were completed. Okay? It was a tough day to throw the football. Fuck off. Next question.
All right. And we have Kevin Ward here. As you can tell, wow, that's incredible. Can't wait to hear about what people think about that little rant this week. I love you, Kevin. I do.
I love you too, buddy.
Wow.
All right. Yeah, Drake, what do you have to say about it?
I don't know. I guess I don't feel as passionately about it as that. I mean, I do.
That was passion.
Yeah, and I can appreciate it because, like, that's coming from us. That's a guy we've been in the locker room with. He's one of our brothers. You know, we have a great deal of respect for him. But some of these people who call themselves fans that are calling for his job, one, you guys, again, I'm going to go back to the fact that you guys don't know nearly as much as you think you do. And that becomes the problem when you are critiquing a 21-year-old kid who is in a extremely tough environment, like Kevin was talking about, in bad conditions, trying to throw the ball against a good defense. That's a whole lot of recipes or ingredients to the recipe of having an off day. So just calm down. You're talking about a guy that is in the Iowa record books, who's tied for the most TDs in a game, who is probably in his career going to be very close to the most touchdowns ever thrown in Iowa football history. This is one of the best quarterbacks that will have came through the University of Iowa. And you guys want to bench him because he had a bad day in bad conditions where everybody played poorly. It's mind-boggling to me that you guys could quit on somebody who you are supposedly a fan of so quickly. So just stop trying to quit on the kid because he had a day that he wishes he could have back. And how about you stick with him and the coaches and the program that you call yourselves a fan of, and grit through a tough day like that, because you know that the grass is greener on the other side in these.
And I think we know that most fans are in complete support of Nate Stanley. Like, it's just the the minority is usually the loudest, and they're just up there talking and yapping, and they have no idea what they're talking about. Most Hawk fans, I think, are very appreciative of what they have, and they get to watch Nate Stanley play for the Hawkeyes. And I think you guys would probably agree with me there. It's just a it's just a small minority
Absolutely.
of people who are out there just yapping away on Twitter because they have nothing better to do with their lives.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. My take on it is the same as these two. We know Nate Stanley. I agree with Kevin. One of the best teammates you could have. Works his ass off. I agree with Drake. A lot of ingredients for the recipe to play poorly, as you saw with a lot of guys, not only on our team, the other team as well. Tough conditions. And I agree with you, Kevin, that this isn't directed at most of you guys because I feel like I saw a lot of positive stuff after the game too of the same stuff we're saying. Like you got to give him a chance. You can't. You got to ride or die with him. It's a lot of positive stuff from you guys, but like Kevin said, the minority is usually the loudest. And my take on it is coming from the whole people who have never been there before, and they just think that throwing in a backup is so easy and that it just works. This guy on Twitter said something like uh he tried to he and I think he was I kind of my refute to it made him kind of think about it like, "Oh yeah, I'm probably wrong about this." But he came at me with like, "Oh, well Alabama benched their starter. It worked for them." And I responded, "We don't have Tua as a backup quarterback.
Does this
I
guy
have
realize that there's
nothing."
only one Tua in the country? There's only one of him. Nobody else can do
Yeah.
what Tua does.
I and this is the main argument because I understand the frustration with how Nate played. A few of his passes can even with the conditions completely inexcusable. But it's not to say he's not like you got to sit back for a second and think do you really are you really considering that Nate Stanley is trying to play bad? Because once you realize that he's just trying to do the best he can and mistakes happen, there's no room for you to fault him. Um, and I have nothing against Peyton Mansell, but and I think he'll be a good quarterback if when Nate leaves he becomes the guy. He wouldn't be in the program if the coaches didn't think so, and I trust the coaches with everything. But I don't care who you are if you get thrown in that environment to try and win the game. I mean, we're not just in a. It's not like Nate Stanley was playing bad and we were down 4 touchdowns. We're in the ball game. All right. So those who think that just throwing in Peyton and that's just gonna the probability of that being that we'll do better with him in there than the probability of Nate Stanley just getting it together and doing a little better as the game goes on.
Which he
It's
did.
just
His last two
which
drives were great without that,
which he did
the mishap.
with a hurt thumb.
Right.
Um, it's just I don't want to. We don't want to sound like we're bashing those who are, but it's you guys just don't understand. You just don't. And
So
um,
let's move on from this. This is just a
yeah, and
somber
that's all
topic
we
in
have to say
general.
about it. That being said, the Hawks still ranked. They moved back one spot. The CFP came out. We're 16th. Those Hawkeye fans who are displeased with the season right now, just give up your Hawk card then. And just go cheer for someone else because I
Yeah,
don't
like
know what else you want.
obviously there's been tough things to happen and a couple moments that we wish we could have back because we're just that close to being undefeated, but being ranked 16 in the country and still in a way controlling your own destiny is a pretty good spot to be.
Absolutely. We're moving on. Tough loss. On to the next topic. On a lighter note, we'll bring it up a little bit. Um, Kevin got a job.
Hey, how
Kevin, you're
about that,
employed.
guys?
You're employed.
I'm mostly excited that Drake can't make fun of me for being an unemployed kid living in his parents' basement anymore.
It's a
Yeah,
tough day
you're
for
actually
me because
gonna.
that's where all my ammunition comes from.
Yeah, and the thing is you guys. I mean, it's not nothing set in stone, but there's a possibility you guys will end up living together again.
Yeah, yeah, it's in the work.
We're in the middle of
Yeah,
negotiations right now. It's not a done deal.
yeah, right, right. That'll be interesting, and I for sure will miss that because I can only imagine. Um,
But
but yeah, Kevin got a job. Kevin, you are the brand new trauma sales rep for
I
Stryker
am the
Medical.
newest trauma sales associate rep for the Iowa City, Cedar Rapids area for Stryker Orthopedics. How about that? Uh,
Do not give him a
So
round of applause because that is so many names in a title that like once
that's
you
a lot of
surpass like
names.
4 or 5 names, it's just because you're super unimportant, but they have to call you something, so they just have to
yeah,
keep adding
basically.
on. So Kevin is in like one of those roles where somebody owns him, but they're still cutting him a check. So
You
it's
know, as
just
long
one of
as they
those
keep
deals.
cutting the checks, they can call me
But the
whatever the
good,
fuck they want, man. And
yeah, I was gonna say, Kevin, at least regardless of what you're doing, there's now going to be money going into the account as well as money coming out
yeah,
of the account.
it's a vast
So,
improvement. This is all
um,
barring the fact that I don't fail my piss test tomorrow,
that
but that should be no problem.
yeah, we've done a couple of those, haven't we? Um, but
We've done a few. Yeah.
in other news, well, in similar news, I am taking a new position as well, as I tweeted out. I'm into, well, actually, all three of us graduated with a degree in exercise science. So, um, we are Coach Doyle disciples in a sense, and Kevin especially because he spent a summer with him as an intern.
Some one or another.
I'm into CrossFit and fitness and stuff like that, and I'm going to be a head coach and trainer at a brand new gym here in Iowa City. I wish I was in Iowa City. Here in Des Moines, Iowa. So all of those looking to increase your health and wellness, come on over to the Brave One Gym on Hickman Road in Clive, and we can have some fun.
Look at
Drake,
that branding. You just really shouted out your new
There's
gym.
yeah, just a shameless plug. Um, Drake, on the other hand, he's self-employed. We haven't really talked about this. Some
Yeah,
people have asked about it. So we're kind of getting into what we're doing now because I think people are interested. So Kevin's going to be selling medical things. I'm going to be coaching CrossFit classes. Drake is self-employed. He clocks in and out at the casino when he goes to make money.
yes.
Drake, and I've just been telling people this. Drake is a professional poker player right now. Um, the the
So
yeah,
you use the word professional very lightly.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
to
you
call me
make
a
money.
professional would be, yeah, but calling me a professional would be slighting true professionals. I am somebody who makes a decent living playing poker, and it is my job per se. But I don't know if I would go as far as calling myself a professional.
Uh, I'll call you a professional because I don't know how to describe it any
All
other
right,
way.
I'll take it.
And I'll give it to you. I
That's
think
fine. Continue.
you're pretty good at poker. So, um I think it's interesting. I'm sure you'll get a lot of tweets about that this week when, maybe some people are going to want to come gamble with you. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to go into that story a little bit, I was pretty much in the same shoes as Kevin. Wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. Um, I always had loved playing poker and did it fairly competitively while I was still in school and training for the NFL. Decided not to go the striker route. There was life threw a couple curveballs, and we had to adapt to the situations. And so I just continued to play poker more and more, and was realizing that I was making a semi decent living out of it. And now we're just kind of here, and it's been several months, and it's going really well, and I'm really enjoying it. And so right now, playing poker is not the end goal for me. Obviously, it's not something that I want to do for the next 40 years and have to rely on playing cards that long. But for now, it is really enjoyable, and we'll see where it leads.
Yeah, it's Pretty cool gig. Um, that being said, that's enough of our own life updates here. I want to thank everybody that's donated to the podcast in the recent couple weeks. Another thing that we never expected and is just crazy. Um, the donations have allowed us to uh, get some new microphones, which we're all using today. They just arrived today. They're beautiful microphones. From your guys' perspective, I hope you can tell a slight difference. On our from our perspective, they're definitely better. We were able to upgrade the site that we're recording on. The one thing we're never going to be able to fully uh, get right, at least for the time being, is we recorded 3 separate places, so we do rely on an internet connection to do this thing. And without, there's really no way to fix that. We just kind of have to hope, and so far it's been all right. So we're gonna keep chugging along with that. Um, but for those who have donated, we are super appreciative, and we want to give back more than what we're currently, we give you the podcast and we think that's great, but those who have donated, we think should get at least a chance at something a little extra for showing their support. And with Christmas coming up around the corner, I had the idea to do a little bit of a Christmas giveaway. Um, and we're going to talk
And this
about,
is a very great segue into talking about our
yeah,
merchandise, but
yeah,
that comes afterwards.
yeah.
Christmas
So,
giveaway.
right. So what Drake just said, we're going to be giving away the t-shirts that we're currently in the process of working on. And so we're going to talk about that in a second, but how this is going to work is for all of those who have donated, and I'll come up with a certain date, but it's going to be somewhere around Christmas time, maybe a week before Christmas. For all those who have donated up to that point, I'll throw all your names in a hat, and the list is probably at 20 people right now. I'll throw all the names in a hat, and I'll pick out 3 or 5 names to receive a free piece of washed up Walkons merchandise. And I will send that to you guys. It will be on us, the washed up Walkons. You guys will have a Christmas present from us, just to show our thanks to you for listening and supporting, because we really do appreciate it. And that rolls us into the next part, where we're going to talk a little bit about the t-shirts. A lot of you have been asking. We've done a lot of work over the past week, a lot of group texting, and I'll let Drake talk a little bit about what he did, but we have been in contact with multiple people trying to find the right person to kind of do our t-shirts. A lot of details of getting this done. Drake was in contact with the licensing department at the university. And Drake, you want to talk a little bit about what we got going on from them, and what we got approved for?
Yeah, so basically, our merchandise is going to start out as just t-shirts and apparel. Maybe some long sleeves and sweatshirts, because you guys are able to decide whatever you want the images to get printed on. But yeah, basically, we have heard the feedback from you guys that you really were looking forward to t-shirts and things like that, and you thought they'd be really cool, and you wanted to support the podcast, which again, thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts. We never expected for the podcast to take off like it has, but we're extremely excited to bring you guys good content and t-shirts like you guys want. So again, thank you. But we basically have a couple t-shirt designs picked out. One of them is going to be one of your guys' favorite slogans that has been said on the podcast. And the other one is going to be a Washed Up Walk-Ons logo t-shirt with our own personal logos, or our own brand logo on it. So you guys will get to see that very soon. But yeah, I had to talk to the licensing department at the University of Iowa because there was a co-branding issue, and I had to get our ideas verified and make sure that they are not going against, you know, the image that the university is trying to portray. We got everything sorted out, so basically now we're getting our images okayed by them, and then the printing company is gonna take care of that, and you guys are going to have a website, a Washed Up Walk-Ons website that you can go to and order your merchandise here pretty soon. So we guys hope you enjoy the designs and the t-shirts. We're doing them because you guys asked for them, and there was just a great deal of support and outreach for those. And
Mhm.
again, it's awesome that we can bring this stuff to you guys.
For sure. And we don't know exactly what that that situation is going to look like here, but it's coming very soon. Um, I'm hoping within the next week. Uh, but yeah, we're hopefully going to have 3 or 4 different designs. It's not just going to be t-shirts. We're going to be able to offer some pretty cool pieces of clothing, some zip overs, some hoodies, long sleeves, 2 different kinds of t-shirt. Um, it's pretty exciting, and we're really thankful to the guy who's helping us out with that, who's also a listener, and it's crazy. We hope you guys like our
But enough
ideas.
of that. Let's get to the fun stuff. Let's get to let's get to the content they enjoy.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about the
No
Maryland
more
situation.
newsletter stuff.
We're going to talk about the Maryland situation. So I don't know if they're going to enjoy that. Which right before we
That's
hit
true.
record on this podcast, I saw a tweet that Durkin was now fired. After being reinstated, he's now been fired. So I think the public kind of reaction to his reinstatement essentially uh, got him fired like immediately after. Which
It was that, and I know like players walked out of like the first meeting that he came back and held. So I know the players do not support him whatsoever.
right.
So that must have had something to do with it as well.
Yeah, so it makes the talk a little less. It was going to be like, more of like, what do we think of him being reinstated as a coach? But I think there's still a situation to talk about. Essentially, back in May, I think May, they had one of their redshirt freshmen, like first or second year players, get real bad during a strength conditioning workout, which I don't know why they were doing. This is a side note, but I don't know why they were doing a hard strength conditioning workout in May anyway. Um, but he died of exhaustion, which is obviously terrible. And essentially, what happened was because of I think the whole story is because of the way Durkin runs the program. Uh, it was kind of a situation where everyone was like, trying to go the tough it up route, you'll be fine, yada yada. And because of that, they didn't correctly handle the situation medically. Um, and kid ended up being admitted to the hospital way later than he should have been, and then 2 weeks later the kid dies. Um, I don't really know what to say. People wanted us to talk about this. My opinion on it is that obviously there's some other stuff going on other than just this instance with the coach, because the players don't like him, and a lot of other stuff has been said. I will say that it's tough. It, I don't I don't know. I don't even know what to say about it. Like, I guess people want us to
Yeah.
compare it, or the medical staff obviously didn't do their jobs, and they're blaming Durkin for having that kind of culture in place. Uh, I,
Yeah. I'll take over here, Close.
yeah, it's hard. It's
Um,
hard. It's a tough topic. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to. I don't know.
Yeah. Kid passing away is obviously tragic. For someone who is basically coming into their best years of their life and has their whole future ahead of them to passing away playing for the football team that he loves, like that. There's nothing sadder than that. I was reading an article saying, and it said the culture there was just an extremely abusive one that under Durkin and their head strength coach, whose name I don't remember. He resigned in August when this whole report came out. Yeah, apparently like this guy would throw like 2.5 pound weights at guys when they like didn't get their if they didn't hit their
Really?
lifts. Yeah, that's what I was reading. Like, and just verbally abusing kids. Like, we get yelled at Iowa, sure. Like, we get called out, but it's never to the point where guys are pushing themselves literally till death. That's what happened to this kid. Like, the yeah, I mean there's a great demand to be extremely well conditioned and in great shape, obviously for D1 athletes, but strength coaches have to know the line between tough and crazy. You have to be tough on your athletes. You have to get the best out of them, but in the end, you have to keep your athletes safe, and they completely failed to do that in this situation. So I can completely understand why the players would walk out on their coach when he doesn't have their best interest in mind. Um, and the fact that the Regents even restored him is truly astonishing to me. Like I don't even know. Yeah.
Yeah. I what I got from it was, and I'm not taking anything away from the situation, but it just is just in a comparison, trying to compare. The workout was 10 100s. And so to me, that if we were to run 10 100s, which actually we did one day in practice,
Yeah.
in full pads, I did it cold because I hadn't done anything in 45 minutes. Um, it's not, I wouldn't call that the hardest workout, especially in May when it's not 100 degrees out. And so my feeling is this kid started to exhibit symptoms of something serious. They should have 100%, someone should have done something to them or for him. Um, it it doesn't seem, I don't think, for those who are trying to get more information on it, I don't think it was a matter of they were programming workouts that were too hard and asking too much. I just think it was more of a lack of thinking that it was a real, like, the kid was actually having issues. I mean, because we've had a couple guys go down at Iowa, um, over the last 5 years. I mean, I was close to going down multiple times and just not being able to continue. I remember a day. Me and Drake tell the story all the time. Uh, it was a summer 2015 before our undefeated year, one of the last days of summer, and I was in another world trying to finish the conditioning workout that day. Um, I don't know how I made it. But the whole thing about it is if a player gets to that point and simply says, I can't do anymore, somebody like our staff at Iowa would never force them to continue. Um,
No.
there's
No. And
there's a stig
I'll talk about
Yeah,
this a little
go
bit
for it.
more. 'Cause obviously, like you said earlier, I interned with them over the summer, and if a guy gets to the point where he's bending over, he has to take a knee after a conditioning rep, he's done. We just say he's done. Go to the side, go see the trainers. You're not doing it anymore. You are obviously expected to be able to do the conditioning. We never prescribe a conditioning that the athletes can't handle, and 95% of the guys absolutely smoke it. There's some guys that struggle, and then there's a couple that just can't finish. But never do we push a guy beyond the means that he can accept. So we're sure to be extremely careful with their
Yeah, and
athletes.
and the s- and the our athletic staff was always on top of things. They were over careful, I would say. So I don't think anything like this would ever happen at Iowa. But then some people are going to bring up the whole Rabdo situation from like 10 years ago, and I'm not going to talk about that because I don't know anything about it. Um,
I talked to Doyle a little bit about it over the summer. He learned a lot from it, but we're not going to talk about it in this
yeah,
podcast.
Drake, do you have any feelings on this?
I mean, I guess I'm just kind of in the same boat as Kevin. I'd reiterate that. And our strength and conditioning program is obviously known all over the country as one of the best. And Coach Doyle is maybe the most well respected strength conditioning coach in the country. And there's a reason for that. And I mean, you tell the story about the day that we almost went down. Like, we did. We almost went down, but it was almost. So that means Coach Doyle literally may have pushed us to our peak, but we didn't go over it because we came back the next day. We were able to recover and things of that nature. So I guess I just can't understand. It'll never make sense how a strength conditioning program could be so inept that they could allow an athlete to go to that point and then not immediately do something to try and help them afterwards. It doesn't make any sense. It's a tragedy. And I mean, it absolutely sucks that this had to happen to some kid and his family for this coaching staff to get fired. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's a bad situation, um, but we don't know a whole lot about it, so we're probably just gonna move on. It would never happen at Iowa, and Coach Doyle is really good at knowing how to push people to their limits. And if they ever did get pushed to their limit and something like that happened, our athletic training staff would be on top of it, and we'd be good. So, with that, we're gonna go into some Q&A, and we got some good ones tonight. I'm gonna pull up the list. First one is, if you could do one thing different during your time in college football, what would it be? This is from CMO Hawkeye. You guys got an
Does it have to be football related? Because I would invest in Bitcoin.
You're
Well,
such a smart ass, dude. Like, I don't know why people like you. It's unbelievable.
I don't
I
know
think
either.
he was talking specifically within the program or your career as a football player. Yeah.
Why don't you guys go first? I'll think.
I think for
All
me,
right.
yeah.
I guess
Okay. Yeah. You go, Drake.
okay. The thing that I think that I would have done, or if I could have the knowledge that I do now and go back, I would have put a lot more stock in the scout team that first year. You know, I went in there and basically all I was trying to do was not screw up the practice, and just I was just trying to make sure I didn't show up on the film as like the guy that screwed everybody up. So I was really just being a line runner and a card reader, and I wasn't actually trying to make the team get any better, and in turn I wasn't making myself any better. So it was like all those practices went to waste because I was trying so hard to stay off the film that I never even got myself on the film, if that makes any sense. So I guess that would be the one thing.
It makes sense. For me,
Yeah.
I can't think of anything specifically like major that I would have done differently as directly in the football complex or on the practice field. I definitely could have gotten a whole lot more sleep my freshman year in the dorms. I didn't do that very well, but I
You
think
watched a ton of YouTube
I
though.
did it. Yeah, I've watched more YouTube and Netflix than all of our listeners combined. One major thing I wish I would have done differently, which kind of relates to this podcast, is I wish I would have leveraged or at least sought out to leverage the platform that we had as Division One football players in growing uh my personal brand, if that makes sense. uh Reached out to more, maybe more alumni, guys who played before us, trying to make connections in the business world, trying to grow myself, grow a network, uh, kind of build my, even though it kind of goes against the whole Iowa thing, I wish I would have kind of, and it was hard because we couldn't tweet, but I wish I would have been able to, I still would have been able to do it without the no tweeting. I wish I'd been able to build the social media following a little more, because I think that leveraging the platform you have as a Division One athlete while you have it is a huge thing and a huge opportunity for a lot of guys, and it just kind of flies by, and you don't take advantage of it. So I don't know. That's one thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Really, the only thing that really comes to mind is part of me wishes that I'd moved to linebacker sooner than I actually did. Um, as we said before, I moved to linebacker right before our junior season, 2016 started. And I knew that pretty much was a nail in the coffin for my chances of ever being a full time starter because obviously Ben Neiman was there, and Ben's playing on the Kansas City Chiefs right now. Ben, if you're listening, what's up, man? Miss you.
Ben hit me up, said he loved the
Um,
podcast.
Yeah,
yeah,
shout
yeah,
out
yeah,
Ben. He's a huge podcast supporter.
Goat.
yeah. He's also got the biggest head in the NFL. Um, but yeah, if I would have been a linebacker from the beginning, I know the coaches had talked about it and we're on the fence between me being a safety and an outside backer. Maybe there would have been an opportunity for me to get on the field more, other than special teams. Maybe not. I don't know. I did learn a great deal from Coach Parker and being in his position group for 3 years, and I think that really helped me get a full understanding of the defense when I did move to the linebacker. So I was able to pick it up really quickly. But I don't know. That's just one thing I thought about.
Okay. I like that. Next question is from Chet Stedman 22 on Twitter. If not Iowa, where would you guys have gone? Where would you have ended up? I probably would have ended up. Well, honestly, I guess Wyoming or Eastern Michigan. They were the only other two that offered me a scholarship. If I was gonna long snap, that's where I would have been. Uh, Otherwise, maybe St. Cloud State in Minnesota, playing D2 linebacker because I had a little bit of interest there. I don't know. Drake.
I mean, I honestly would have had to have ended up playing at UNI for that scumbag Mark Farley. So
Wow.
I'm extremely thankful that I didn't have to play for that subpar program for 5 years because it's probably run very similar to the way that DJ Durkin runs his program. Because I've got a couple friends that came from there and they hate the dude. They think he's the worst coach and the biggest scumbag they know. So yeah, I would have ended up playing there and that would have sucked and I wouldn't have got nearly the experience from football that I got at Iowa. So I'm
Yeah.
very thankful I ended up where I did.
All right, dodged a bullet there. My life would have been a hell of a lot different because my one D1 offer was from the United States Air Force Academy. So I would be in the Air Force right now if I went there. Was very close to committing, took my official at Iowa, and just fell in love with it. Fell in love with Iowa City. Fell in love with the coaching staff, and couldn't pass up the opportunity to play Big Ten football like the rest of my family.
And there you go. That's where we'd be. We would not be doing this podcast because none of us would know each other. So
And none of us would be walk-ons either.
this is also true.
True.
Um, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say we got the better end of the deal, all three of us.
Yeah, no regrets over
100%.
here.
Yeah. Next question was to Drake specifically, and it was, what pizza's better, Salvatore? Is it Salvatore's or Salvatore's?
Salvatore's. Yeah.
Salvatore's and Muscatine or Wig and Pen by Nathan Carlson.
So I like Wig and Penn's pizza, but I would have to if I had to pick one or the two or one or the other, I would pick Salvatore's. But my answer for best pizza is not Salvatore's. It's actually a place called the Sicilian that is not around anymore. But my roommate and one of my best friends' family owned the Sicilian, and all throughout high school, that's where me and all my best friends worked. And so it was one of those things where you get to work with your best friend, so it's not really work. And we also made some extremely good pizza. We did. We probably had the best pizza in America, to be honest.
Wow.
Like I just got to say it. Like
That's a
Sicilian and
bold claim.
Muscatine probably had the best pizza in America back in 2011 and 2012 when the boys were crushing it. We also made pastas and subs, and I mean, you got the whole Italian experience when you came to Sicilian. Miss that place, but
Yeah.
that's got to be the best pizza. If you've ever had the Sicilian, you know what I'm talking about. But unfortunately, Jared's family sold it once we all went to college, and that was kind of that.
Little does the listening audience know that if you are any kind of fan of Barstool, recently they came out with the One Bite app where you can do pizza reviews just like El Prez and put it on the app so that people know, about all the pizza places. Me and Kevin, before this was ever a thing, started doing our own pizza reviews on my Snapchat story, to a small audience of maybe, compared to this audience, a smaller audience of maybe like 100 people, and they were very popular. People loved.
Some people loved them, some people
Yeah, it
hated
was
them.
it was it was a very polarizing kind of content that we put out. We did them every Thursday. Was it
Every
Thursday? Every
Thursday. Yeah,
Thursday.
it's our off day every
Yeah, we would
Thursday.
do every Thursday. We would do pizza reviews on my Snapchat story. We did about 12, I think, 12 different pizza places. We went for like 3 months about this time last year. And I got to say, me and Kevin tried the Wig and Pen, and the Wig and Pen is some pretty elite pizza. That we had the Chicago style. It's
Yeah, that was our highest rated
yeah, it was
pizza. We got it at an 8.8.
yeah, really good pizza.
I promise you, if you guys would have had a Gladiator or a buffalo chicken pizza made by yours truly from Sicilian,
I
you
don't
would
let you
have
make.
rated it a 10. Like you would have given it a
Greg,
10, I
one
promise.
thing, I don't want to make anything that your hand or eat anything that your hands touch. And if you ever call a buffalo chicken pizza the best pizza ever again, I'm gonna slap you.
Wow. And then Drake will fight you, and then we'll have nobody else to do the podcast with me because you'll both be dead after that, and I'll just be here alone.
Kevin asked for a pay-per-view of
That's
us
true.
fighing.
That's
So I
true.
guess podcast listener, if you guys like the idea enough of Kevin and I punching each other in the face,
I like that idea.
maybe we can get something settled.
All right. Moving on, and we're gonna go with the theme of the day. It is Halloween. We're recording this on Halloween. Favorite Halloween candy, best childhood costume, and best Halloween memory from college. This was also kind of directed at Drake because the Twitter user David Hausch, who asked it, assumed or had a feeling that Drake had a Halloween story. I can go first because this is pretty easy for me. I like chocolate. I'm not much of a candy guy in general, but if I do eat candy, it's got to be chocolate. I'm a huge Milky Way fan, so you get me a bag of little mini Milky Ways, and I go to town on that. My best childhood costume. I was a football player way too much. I was probably a football player like every other year. It seemed like. But I think I was the green M&M one year, and that was a pretty
That makes sense.
okay. Well, I was a green M&M. Uh, and
You kind of look like the green
I
man.
hate you.
Yeah.
back when you were like 6 or 7, you were probably were fat as hell, dude.
I was a
I could
little tubby.
Like
I
you,
was like a little tubby, dude.
yeah, your body type was just
I'm f-
perfect for an Eminem
I'm
costume.
flirting with 100 numbers right now. I woke up 201 today. For those that follow me on Twitter and follow the weight journey, in May I was 240. I weigh 201 pounds today. So if you want to know well, actually I haven't worked out much the whole time, but CrossFit can do that too, and also intermittent fasting. Uh, but enough about I don't want any more shit about being green M&M. So I want to hear what you guys were.
Go ahead, Kev.
Let's see. My favorite candy is probably between the Three Musketeers and Twix. Like you, Kluver, I'm a big fan of the chocolate candies. Um, Costume. I was Luke Skywalker like 4 years in a row. From like ages 4 to 8, I was Luke Skywalker.
Jesus.
I was a huge Star Wars nerd as a kid.
Average movie series.
So neither of you guys shared a story from college. Do you not have any college?
I don't. Okay,
Halloween
well
stories?
well Drake, you know me. I know you're just bringing it up for the listeners.
Yeah.
I guess we did go out the one year with
Dude, we're undefeated. In 2015, we all went out. We are still undefeated.
I don't
We're
remember.
undefeated.
What was the what?
I don't think
Kevin
Cleveland.
remembers.
I don't.
I
Is
was
it
there.
a, is it
Yeah,
a
I
is it
don't
a
think Cleveland was there.
podcast appropriate story? Which is which
Yeah, yeah, it is. I mean,
Drake got
so
it.
yeah, so I'll just go ahead. These guys were kind of well. Now Kevin wasn't that lame. Kluver was a lame during college. Kevin and I had a little bit of fun. So my favorite candy by far ever was the caramel Reese's. They made them back when I was in like middle school, and they were like a limited time thing. And I probably ate 3 packages a day for the entirety of the time that they were out because they were that good. So shout out Reese's if you guys would ever hear this, please bring those back. Um, I was the red Power Ranger about as many times as Kevin was. Did you say Anakin Skywalker?
Luke Skywalker.
Luke Skywalker, whatever. Yeah, I'm not. I'm also not a Star Wars fan. Probably surprising to some of you guys.
What's wrong with
But yeah,
you
I was.
guys?
I don't know,
it's
but I was the red Power Ranger a lot of times because I just thought he was the most badass
yeah, I
character
respect
ever.
that because I was a big
He
Power
was just
Ranger guy.
he was the captain of the Power Rangers. Like,
yeah,
what's cooler than being captain of the Power Rangers? That's way cooler than being captain of the Hawks, Kevin.
yeah. Fuck you, Kevin.
So
Yeah,
this,
that's probably accurate.
I mean, my favorite college Halloween story was the year of 2015. We had just beaten, I don't know, maybe Indiana or somebody. It was Halloween.
Maryland, I
We
think.
it was
It was
Maryland,
Maryland. Yeah.
and we were 8-0. We were 8-0, and for those of you that don't know, which is probably a lot, Bo Bauer's birthday is today,
It's on
October
Halloween.
31st on Halloween. So shout out to Bo, happy birthday. He is 24, so he's just been a shit-filled diaper for 24 years now.
24 going on 48.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry,
he has
Bo.
no hair.
You're
He
not
has a
here to
dirty
defend yourself.
beard. But it's okay because he's now newly married. Shout out to Bo for being newly married.
That's for all of you listening, that's not true. He is what the young kids say today as wifed up. He has a recent new girlfriend who seems to be the perfect fit.
Got 'em all
Yeah,
cuffed
seems to be
up.
the perfect fit. So we'll see how that goes. Bo, I'm sorry that these guys are trashing on you when you're not here to defend yourself. I can't say that they're wrong.
Happy
but
birthday, Diaper Dan. But yeah, we were 8-0. We just came off beating Maryland. It was Halloween. So, like, it was just all those ingredients for the perfect recipe. And that year, I went out as Bo Bauer. So I wore a camo hat. I wore Bo's high school jersey, had his
Wow.
name on the back, wore some like football pants or something like that. And yeah, so it was, we were 8-0, and I was Bo, he was Bo. It was his birthday. It was Halloween. We may have gotten pretty ornery with some bottle service, and it was a grand old time. I miss those days.
Just a dapper old time.
Yeah, I 100% wasn't there for that. Like
No, you weren't. I remember you went. You went.
like most stories in college, I was not a part of, and that's my choice. I did not like going out. I like watching people play video games on the computer. And
Clue, if you were good to go out one time a year, that was usually the day after spring ball.
yeah,
After spring ball ended, that was the one day a year you went out.
yeah. And there's a story about us and Mark Wiseman's house that we can tell another time. Leave the listeners on a cliffhanger, if you will. We'll wrap it up. We'll wrap up the Q&A there. There's a question about the playoff, but let's answer that next week. We'll save that one for next week. All right. Technical difficulty again this week. Drake's computer crapped out, and we're not going to have him for this last bit. We are going to, me and Kevin, bring it home here by talking about Purdue a little bit. Drake had something that he wanted to say about Purdue. I'm sure it would have been great. You're not going to be able to hear it.
And I'm sure it would have been really dumb and not important anyway, so we're just going to kill us.
Yeah, so Purdue is a dangerous opponent. They have the best freshman in the country. They gained a little bit of fire under their ass when they had a big win against Ohio State, but then came back and lost to Michigan State last week. I think they're a dangerous team. We don't we don't want to. I say we as like if we're still there. The Hawks are not going to take them lightly. The one thing the coaching staff does an incredible job of is keeping the players focused and keeping them in a state of understanding that every team has the ability to knock you off at any point in time. I What I didn't like this week is that the Hawks are actually an underdog, point spread wise.
So disrespectful.
Yeah,
So
we've been
disrespectful.
saying it the past couple weeks where Indiana, we were only a 6-point favorite and yada yada. I think this might be the most disrespectful line of the season for the Hawkeyes. Drake is not going to be here to give you the old hammer the Hawks, but me and Kevin are hammer the Hawks, people.
Hammer the Hawks.
I mean, like,
this is printing money. We're back to printing
We're-
money. You know, like the first 2 weeks we were talking about printing money versus Minnesota, printing money versus Indiana. You know, last week, you know, it was a little bit of a tough week. You know, we were confident, but we weren't telling you to take out a second mortgage. We're back to telling you to take out a second mortgage because this is a lock, folks.
yeah, Drake.
Yes, Purdue. Yeah, Drake's telling us.
Yeah, let the people know I'm wagering several hundred on the Hawks to cover at +3 because that's ludicrous. That is a direct quote. And I believe him. I know he's actually doing that, and he should because this line is disrespectful. I said last week to hammer the Hawks, but don't jackhammer the Hawks. Maybe that was 2 weeks ago. This week, you need to get all the jackhammers in the vicinity and turn them all on and jackhammer them because the Hawkeyes, especially after a loss, Hawks are not going to lose this game by any means. I honestly am predicting a 2 or 3 touchdown win myself. Hammer the Hawks. That's all I have to say.
Hammer the Hawks.
We're really
Purdue's defense is susceptible. Their offense is good, but Michigan State showed us last week that it's not that good. Iowa's defense is built very similarly to that of Michigan State's. We're not a cover one all day, every day defensive team like Ohio State, and they just got exposed for it. So I'm not too concerned about them running all over the place and running ragged up and down the field. I think the Hawks really understand that this is a huge game. They're not going to be focused on the big picture of things that everyone's trying to talk about, you know, Big Ten West waste and all that nonsense. The Hawks are focusing on this game, and I'd be shocked, absolutely shocked, if they do not cover, let alone win by 1,000,000.
Yeah.
That being said, Hawks by 1,000,000. Hammer the Hawks.
Hawks by 1,000,000. You heard it. Kevin Ward. You didn't have Drake here to say it, but he's here in spirit. Follow us on the social media platforms. KWardy26 on both Twitter and Instagram, correct?
Yes, sir.
Drake_Kulik on Instagram. Just Drake Kulik, no underscore on Twitter. At Tyler Kluver on both Twitter and Instagram. We thank you for joining us on this 5th episode of the Washed Up Walkons podcast. We'll be back next week again on Thursday morning to preview the Northwestern game, correct? We play Northwestern next week.
Yes, sir.
And we'll be talking about how the Hawks covered again for the 5th week in a row. Again, hammer the Hawks.
We're going to be talking about your new Bentley and your new lake house that you just bought because you are now 5-0 when you hammer the Hawks. Go Hawks. Hawks by 1,000,000. Washed Up Walkons out.
Yep. Have a day, everybody. See ya.